So I am seated in a 2008 Toyota Rav4. It's a very well balanced car, whether for a teenager, for an elderly person who is on pension, or somebody who's just got their driving license. So you can drive it with this, or anything that you want to wear. This car is one of those that you buy just if you're interested in moving from point A to point B, because there's nothing really much inside that is really exciting that will gather a petrolhead's excitement. It's really a car for utility, and what we have here has got an automatic transmission. I just wonder why the mirror controls are placed right there, of all places, while the other controls are next to the driver's steering. This car has got dual AC, so you can have different temperatures for both the driver and passenger, and it's got a filter for people who are pollen allergic. It also comes with a smart key, and the model that we have here has got the push button ignition system. All the Japan import Toyota Rav4s will come with cloth seats. You can put seat covers. What we have here is a 2.4 liter petrol engine with about 168 horsepower, and it's made it to a CVT gearbox. These engines are quite good with low mileage. When they get to high mileage, we'll get to that later in the video. This Rav4 has been released in so many countries globally, and it sells like crazy. It's just under the Toyota Corolla, and it's arguably a very good car for basic reasons. There's nothing exciting, it just does the job right. In the United Kingdom, there were models with the diesel engine, a 2.2 liter diesel, which some people complained about. There were models that were released in the United States with a 3.5 liter and an automatic transmission. There are models with in Australia with the 2.4 liter as well as the 3.5 liter. The models from Australia and the models from US had a longer wheelbase, but still they were under the Rav4 badge. There are also those that were from South Africa, which were sold by Toyota dealerships in Africa. But I highly recommend the 2.4 liter Japan import, especially if you're living in Uganda, because they're just much more easy to sell, easier to fix, and definitely easier to diagnose. So these cars are great, but I must tell you what goes wrong. One of them is oil consumption. Once you clock, I think, 120,000 kilometers, you will notice that you have to keep topping up engine oil. Then, of course, if you don't notice, then the car will start to overheat. So you have issues like overheating because you haven't noticed that the car engine oil level has dropped. And to avoid some of those things, you might as well reduce the frequency of your service. So meaning instead of servicing every 5,000 kilometers, you might have service maybe 3,000 kilometers, and change the grade of the oil to a thicker engine oil. The other significant issue that these cars tend to have is oil leaks, and usually you find oil leaks around the top cover and at the under the engine. So look out for some of those things. And if you're buying the car locally from someone who has driven it before, or even from the yards locally, you might want to look out for the catalytic converter because they're on high demand. Check that it is still intact, as well as the engine. Make sure it hasn't been tampered with. Toyota, I have a question for you, because you know the Rav4 is a recreational active vehicle, but with four-wheel drive. That's it in full. But why is it that some of them actually have two-wheel drive? Why didn't they just call it the Rav2? Another common weakness that I discovered with a number of Toyota Rav4s is that the bonnet requires a lot of effort to just push it down. Looking at the interior, the Rav4 is blessed with a lot of plastics, but these are high quality plastics and they just feel well put together, and you wouldn't expect them to break. That also helps with deafening the sound from the outside, because this car is quite silent on the inside. However, it's not exactly quiet on the outside. The RAV4 may seem small on the inside, but it's quite spacious impressively, and you find that you have a lot of space for both the front seat passengers and the back seat passengers. And the fact that it's a 5-seater, you have a large boot all to yourself, and you can throw in a number of things. When you pull the levers, you can drop the back seats, and then you even have much more room to put in a fridge, all those electronics. The car has also nice features which can help for you to check yourself out, like the vanity mirror, space to keep your shades, and all those different toys. The car has quite a lot of storage, which is very impressive for people who drive such cars, because they'll be looking for places to hide their things, including space under the boot floor. Let's drive this car. So most people will drive this car either here in such situations or here, but usually most people will just basically drive on the tarmac, and it's pretty basic use for home to work, nothing really exciting. I've spoken about the AC for some time now. I really love the AC on the RAV4s, the Vanguards. It's got those huge vents, and people who sit at the back won't really struggle to get the cold air coming from the front. It's just perfect. Now this car comes with a CVT gearbox, which is definitely arguably better than the manual gearboxes, and with these skyrocketing fuel prices, this car will actually perform quite well, because the CVT gearbox gives you the right gear at the right time, all the time. I'm so impressed with the way this car drives. It's just perfect for anybody. Whether you're a teenager who has just got his driver's license, whether you're an elderly person who is on pension, this car is just perfect. Actually, it's the best, one of the best cars to kinda hide your wealth. Meaning, it's difficult for people to tell what's in your bank account, because you could be broke and you drive this car. You could be wealthy and you drive this car. You could have 50,000 titles of land and you have this car. It's just well balanced. It's comfy. It has a really great sitting position, and then when you lower these, a lady can drive it, because you've got this, it's called the vanity mirror. I like the way Toyota has kind of made the noise cancelling better. Let's just say they've deafened the sound from the outside, because this engine is not exactly quiet on the outside, but on the inside it's actually quite okay. This car will be very exciting for a long journey because of the sound deafening on the inside. And who wouldn't want to travel in a quiet, silent vehicle? So the question is, should you buy the 2008 Toyota Rav4? My honest answer is yes. I have no reservations, except those that I talked about, things that you just need to look out for: the engine oil leak, overheating, and oil consumption. If you can be faithful with your time of service, and by the way, try as much as possible to use Toyota CVT transmission fluid. If you use these random gearbox oils, you might reduce the life of the gearbox by far. It's a stable car, it's comfortable, definitely more stable than the Toyota Harrier. Yes, it has less space, but if you have a family of not more than 3 children, this is the car for you. Look here. You can be an engineer, a landowner, a teenager, a student, a broke person, and nobody will know.